These are the days and the times when we just allot as much time to Greg Bostwick as he needs, because a full explanation is what most people really want. Maybe they don't pay attention to the weather 364 days a year, but the one day that we have something out there lurking, that's the one day everybody's got their ear pans ready to go.
Oh, that's right, and we need to certainly pay attention to what's going on out there. This is rapidly becoming a more serious situation for Texas, as Harvey has finally gotten its act together. We were afraid this would happen. It would start to intensify, and that's exactly what's happening this morning. Winds at least 45 to 50 now, it looks like, on the satellite view. We're going to know better here very shortly how strong Harvey is. So it's back to tropical storm force. Air Force plane is out there right now. They're about to make a pass on through, and we'll have an idea. But pressures are falling, indicating it's strengthening, and certainly looks a whole lot different on satellite now. It has that classic look of a developing storm, spiral-looking effect beginning to show up now in the Gulf of Mexico. And it's kind of moving off toward the northwest still, steadily heading toward generally the lower Texas coast. Again, the target area still appears to be around Corpus Christi, maybe Rockport, and that general area. And it looks like Saturday morning, so it's moved a little bit slower overnight, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get up into the area. Then once it reaches toward the coastline, the real tricky stuff starts, because everything we point to right now says this thing's going to stall. Instead of moving on out, like up into the hill country, up in Oklahoma eventually, which normally a storm like this would do, this one's going to get trapped and just kind of sit there near the Corpus Christi area for several days. And there's still some suggestion that it's going to kick out to the northeast toward the upper Texas coast into Louisiana by early next week as well. So we got to still pay attention to this, more in the facet of heavy rainfall versus wind. But it's certainly going to be producing a lot of rain. In fact, historic rains. You don't use that term very often. Maybe not for us, but like Corpus Christi and those areas, still the potential maybe of 20, 30 inches of rain down in those areas out of the storm, which is very reminiscent of a storm back in 1967. So we're going to be on the nasty side of this whole thing regardless of what happens here on that final track. And, it's a big rain event. Now, the good news, I think we're going to be able to hold off on some of the heavier rain to probably later in the weekend. We're going to start seeing some showers increasing even today, and especially tomorrow into Saturday. But the really heavy stuff may hold off until Sunday and Monday. So if you have to get some stuff done, you're still going to have this little window of opportunity to maybe take care of some business around the place before the weather deteriorates toward the end of the weekend. But definitely have plans like to go to Houston or San Antonio or Corpus Christi this weekend.
Forget it.
See if you can get a cancellation on that stuff, because that's just not going to work out too well. As far as intensity goes, I'm not going to be surprised if this is Category 2 right now. It's going to be a hurricane. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if it gets stronger than that, that wouldn't be shocking either. It could go to a major hurricane. So, Corpus Christi, by the way, has not been hit by a hurricane since 1970.
Cecilia.
Yeah, that's Celia.
Celia.
Celia, yeah, Celia. But I was down in South Texas when that hit, too. That was a horrible mess. But, boy, that's a long time. You're talking, you're getting close to, 50 years.
Yeah, 47 years.
Yeah, amazing that they've had such luck down in Corpus Christi not having a storm. But they definitely are under the gun for this one down there.
Yeah. We're going to kind of break off the usual programming this morning and concentrate on some of the things that are going to be of interest to you. I think some of the things that you don't think of. Nearly 50% of all flash flood fatalities involve vehicles. Saving your life can be as easy as turning your car around when you see water on the road. And over the next 72 hours, that's going to happen. The one thing that Greg and the rest of us do is we don't try to panic you or sensationalize you. We just kind of hit you with the facts, and we should have something new. Do we have it yet, Greg, or what?
We do, and it is not good news. I was afraid of that looking at the satellite view. Air Force reconnaissance just went through, and the pressure is dropping rapidly in the center now. So, in fact, we're actually seeing some evidence now of an eye wall forming. So, this thing looks like it's up around 70 miles per hour right now, getting pretty close. It's approaching hurricane force. So I'm really confident now. It's not good to talk about, but it looks like it's going to be a major hurricane. And this is perhaps the first major hurricane to hit Texas. You know, you could argue about Ike. Officially, it was not considered a major hurricane, but what's 1 mile per hour among friends? I mean,
Yeah.
for us, it was a major hurricane. So this is definitely the worst hurricane threat for Texas since 2008, Hurricane Ike. And looks like Corpus Christi is going to be dealing with their first major hurricane since 1970, almost 50 years. And for us, of course, we're going to see some impact as well. Fortunately, we won't see the real strong winds that the mid and lower Texas coast will see. As far as the landfall timing here, it looks like Friday night into Saturday morning. So this thing, unfortunately, still has about another day and a half over the water, which is really bad news. Water very warm in the Gulf, obviously. It hasn't been affected by any storms, so mid to upper 80s on the water temperature. So there's every likelihood this will become a Category 3 at the very least before it makes landfall coming up for Saturday morning. For us, good news in the fact that it's strengthened in the fact that it's kind of pulled all the showers closer to the center. So we might be able to delay a lot of the heavy rain for us until Sunday and Monday, the way it's starting to shape up. But they're measuring winds now of 62 knots. Now, 62 knots, 64 is hurricane force in knots. So it's right on the verge of hurricane. So it's probably around 70 miles per hour. I think that's what the Hurricane Center will go with at their next advisory. So it's going to be a hurricane here very shortly. And from there, everything's on the board. I mean, it could be a 2, 3, or even stronger before it makes landfall.
Yeah, and that's not sensationalizing.
In the span of 24 hours, we went from a wave to a depression to a storm, and David Zelensky with the National Hurricane Center says Harvey is not done.
We do expect it to continue strengthening for the next couple of days while it moves over the Gulf of Mexico. And, in fact, we expect it to become a hurricane.
At the center of the storm, that's going to be an issue as well.
The center of the storm is expected to pass a little to the south of the Houston area. However, the effects will spread well north.
And remember, these model tracks can change. You know, you should start seeing rains from Harvey tomorrow afternoon. Jeff Linder with the Harris County Flood Control District telling us the thing that troubles him is that Harvey could hit and simply stop.
We have seen time and time again where these tropical systems move inland, they slow down, they stall, or they meander, and they can produce these horrific rainfall totals.
And another troubling sign, the size.
It is showing a very large area getting some very high totals, so maybe not just a Harris County particular focus, but more of a regional focus.
And Shara, some new information. The storm intensifying. Now we're seeing 60-mile-an-hour winds, according to some reports. This is why Governor Abbott has declared a state of disaster for 30 Texas counties, including Fort Bend, Galveston, Waller, Wharton, and yes, Harris.